How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the channel and to the third episode of Making Beats for Forgotten Artists. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Cassidy and Lil Flip. Now, other than being on a couple tracks together, there's no direct link between these two rappers. Cassidy being from Philly and Lil Flip being from all the way down in Houston, at a time when collaborations in hip-hop were mainly between people from the same region. However, despite being from different parts of the country, their career paths were actually very similar. I'll start with Flip, who emerged around 1999 as a legendary freestyle rapper. He claimed to have an undefeated rap battle record and to be able to rhyme for days on end, which led to DJ Screw nicknaming him the Freestyle King. Flip took that recognition and ran with it, releasing singles like Riding Spinners and Like a Pimp, with simple but catchy lyrics relating to his lavish lifestyle. He kept that momentum going with the single Game Over on his third album, which reached number four on the Billboard Hot Rap Singles. Now at this time, Flip was feeling himself a little bit, and he took the opportunity to name himself the King of the South at the same time that T.I. was in prison for violating parole. So naturally, T.I. took that as a direct shot at him. So beef ensued, you all know that story, and most people think that that's what caused Lil Flip to fall off. But I think it's something else. For the release of the third album I was just talking about, Flip's label Columbia restructured and got reorganized under Sony. The execs at Sony were definitely influenced by the urban music landscape at the time, which was being dominated by Ja Rule and his rap ballad style, like Put It On Me and Between Me and You. In what was a complete misunderstanding of Flip's brand image, his label persuaded him to release a rap ballad of his own called Sunshine. Now, was that song a success? Sure, it reached number one on the charts and it helped him gain a lot of newer mainstream fans. However, it was pretty much like a 180-degree pivot from barely a year ago when he was releasing street anthems. So when Flip eventually said, yo, forget this, and he reverted back to his original style, it was too soon, too confusing, it seemed fake to his original fans, and it lost the interest of his newer mainstream fans. Now, up at the other end of the country, Cassidy was on a similar path as Lil Flip, except his was on steroids. Cassidy claimed to have a rap battle record of 5,000 wins and 0 losses. He's lucky we didn't have camera phones and social media and stuff back then, that's all I'm gonna say. A year after that, he signed his contract, and he came out the gate hot with the songs Hotel and Get No Better, which were both in the same love ballad style that was popular at the time. Again, barely 2 years later, Cassidy had a change of heart and he released the street anthem called I'm a Hustler. It's the same 180-degree flip that we saw with Lil Flip, and it caused cognitive dissonance in his audience, who lost interest in his music again. Now, I should note that unfortunately Cassidy's career was hampered by some time spent in jail and a pretty serious car accident after that. He deserves his fair share of credit when it comes to the growth of battle rap, and he does remain a legend in the eyes of underground rap enthusiasts. But sadly, it's obvious to me that both Cassidy and Lil Flip were victims of corporate ignorance. Aren't we all, man? So, since I covered 2 rappers in this video, I think it's only right that I make 2 beats in this video. One for Cassidy, one for Lil Flip. So let's get it. When I think back of Cassidy's era, especially in the East Coast where he was from, I automatically think of Just Blaze because he straight up dominated that era. So what does that mean? Basically, that means pick a sample from the 70s or the 80s and just blast it with drums. I found this track on YouTube from 1975 from what appears to be a Spanish singer, a very beautiful one, and it's going to be perfect for my sample. I'll give you a little snippet, but I don't know how much of it I can play because copyright issue and all that stuff, but this is what it sounds like. I found 2 sections of the song that I liked, so I extracted them both. I chopped them up by region, essentially, pitched them up as well. This is the first one. And then the second one is just a little bit more subdued. It's going to be like a pre-chorus section. Oh my God. That's going to be nice. When those chops hit, I'm going to put the kick and like a cymbal on those chops as well. And it's going to mesh perfectly, I think, in my head. The second section, I kept a lot more simple because there's so much going on in the first section. This is going to be like a nice little break for the rapper and the listener of the beat. Time for the drums, baby. Sub bass, nothing too crazy. Just want to fill out those bass frequencies. I was messing around with some potential arrangement a little bit, and the contrast between the first section and the second section is too insane. Like there's too much going on in the first one and not enough going on in the second one. So I pulled up micro keys here, the piano string preset, and just threw down some keys to fill out some of those frequencies in the second section of the beat. Just F minor triad, and for this bar here, all I did was go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I added this note here to add a bit more like hip hop feel to it. Also couldn't help myself, put a little bit of a brass stab in there as well. That should be fine. And if I throw in some chops here and there from the first sample, then it should fill out the sound just fine. Okay, so I arranged it a little bit. I'm going to play it now, but just one thing that I want you to note, I threw the bass sounds of the drums, so the kick, and I have toms as well. Where are they? Here. I threw them in their own submix, okay, submix 1, and I cut out the low end of all the other drums, because I really want the bass to pop in this track, just like those old school Just Blaze songs from back in the day that I love and that you love, or that you might not even know about because you're probably way younger than I am. Who knows? Okay, that was fun. I always enjoy doing sample beats because it kind of stretches your creativity a little bit. But I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this one, the Lil Flip beat. I think Game Over is not only the best Lil Flip song, but it's also one of the hardest tracks ever recorded. So my plan for this beat is to make like an 8-bit video game type of beat, just like Game Over, except with a fat 808, because I think that's the only thing that the beat was missing. So I loaded up like a whole bunch of different video game effects. And I pitched them pretty much all to the same key, and I'm going to try to come up with something unique. I know it doesn't sound like much now, but trust the process. I want to switch things up with like a really thick bass here and there in the beat. Oh, actually, this one's called thick. Okay, I'll use it, but it's a little bit short, so maybe I'll layer it with another one that's a little bit longer. Yeah. For these chord stabs here, I just picked like a generic synth and I threw a little bit of bit crusher on it. And I'm not strumming the notes because this beat is meant to be robotic, right? It's like an 8-bit video game beat. So just gonna leave it as is. As a little bit of a final touch, I pulled up my favorite lead, or one of my favorite leads, in Tricent. And you may notice that some of these notes are out of the scale, but don't be afraid to experiment, especially when it comes to leads, because a lot of them are meant to sound a little bit weird anyway. So just do whatever you think sounds right to you. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the second beat, and I'll see you next week. I'm rhyming a little flip, and I got a tiny